Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and today let's talk about full-size truck reliability for the 2023. So 2023 full-size truck reliability, and what we're looking at here is looking at predicted reliability. This stuff comes from Consumer Reports. I'm also going to use CarComplaints.com, and I use my knowledge as a journalist covering this topic for 12, 13 years of covering full-size trucks to discuss reliability. Now, before we get too deep in the woods, I know there's going to be a lot of criticisms and comments about how can you know predicted reliability on a model that hasn't even come out yet for a full year. A lot of people think you have to drive vehicles for at least 100,000 miles to be able to know whether they're reliable or not. The only problem with that is that things change so quickly in the truck market. You may say, Tim, I got to drive this Ford for 100,000 miles, know if that engine's reliable, but the engine changes and the engine gets discontinued and things are happening really fast. And so the other thing with predicted reliability is when you go to buy a new vehicle, you do want to know if it's going to be reliable. You have to have some idea, some gauge, some thought process on, hey, is my 60, 70, 80, $90,000 vehicle going to last? And so this is why we do these information. That's why I do these videos. So let's get to the data because I think the data is pretty cool. So it's on pickuptrucktalk.com. You can see I have a ton of tabs open on top. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, pop top, whatever. It's going to be a little bit on this video. So it's on pickuptrucktalk.com. And I wrote a story. It went live last week, and it's called Most Reliable Full-Size Trucks Ranked. Now, Ram shocks again, and I want to get into all these details because there's so much to talk about, and a lot to talk about Consumer Reports. They had a really interesting article on this. And so before we get too much to Consumer Reports, I want to let you know I have an agreement with Consumer Reports that I can report on their data, but I can't unlock the ratings or show you behind the paywall. It's kind of my agreement with them. So you have to take my word for it. I did read the story. I'm a journalist. I did cover it. And so I want to dig in this data a little bit because I rank them, but I want to rank them even more. Talk a little more about this. So let's talk about 2023 most reliable full-size trucks ranked. Without further ado, we have number 1, Ram 1500. Number 2, the Toyota Tundra. Number 3, Ford F-150. Number 4, Nissan Titan. Number 5, GMC Sierra 1500. And number 6, Chevy Silverado 1500. Lots of this. This just gets me fired up. I'm sorry. There's a lot to discuss here, and I'm going to close the tab. But let's start with this, and I'm going to give you a little snippet at the end. The Ford F-150 is broken up in 2 categories. They did Lightning and the hybrid, the Power Boost version, separately. Ooh, let's get into that though in a minute. Let's talk first of all Ram 1500. So this truck has been out since 2019, and it's one of the things you'll notice on this list is typically if the truck's been out longer, it tends to go to the top because the predicted reliability says, hey, it's been out for a while. They've worked out the bugs, and so you shouldn't have any problems as you would a first model year. That's the way Consumer Reports views things. I will tell you, and I'm going to open my window up here in a minute. I just want to show you a little detailed full screen. My dad used to actually work at General Motors, and he would do the model year changes. And I'm not talking full model year changes. I'm like 2022 to 2023, things like that. He would tell me all the time that he would have a 1-inch binder full of all the parts changes each year. And so it always cracks me up. People are like, hey, I'm going to not buy the first year. I'm going to wait till the bugs worked out, that kind of stuff. Well, he would always tell me the first year might be the best version of that vehicle because year 2, 3, 4, 5, parts suppliers go to business. The quality may not be there. The bean counters go in and take out different parts from this vehicle. So I wouldn't caution you against buying first year vehicles. I bought them, and overall, they've been fairly good. So let's break down first Ram 1500. So if you I like to look at CarComplaints.com. And I'm looking at, you can look at model years. You can see what they're talking about. So 2019, we had 127 issues, 32 in 2020, 8 in 2021, and 1 in 2022 so far. So you can see that it's kind of going down. That's what you want to see. And so these 2019 models, they may have been fine, may have had a recall or a TSB. They may have switched a part out, and they could be really reliable vehicles. It's just there was more issues at that point. And it is very true that when a new model launches, there is more issues that happens. But it's not like it's long-term issues. Lots of stuff is fixed, and I'll get more in that details right now. When we talk about the Toyota Tundra, this was all new for 2022. If you follow the channel, you know I bought a Tundra this year, and for last year. Actually, I still have it. I need to sell it. A lot of stuff on my plate. Anyways, so you can see this used to be the most reliable truck on the market. It used to destroy Ram. Ram used to be known as the least reliable truck on the market. And now the Tundra, because the 22 model year was new, the perception from Consumer Reports was they're going to have lots of problems. We go from 10 to 0 right now in 2023. There's not that many 2023 models out there. And so what I want to get to is I wrote this up last year in April. Known problems so far. So it launched in, I bought it in December, so it came out in September, October. They did the first gasoline versions. They did the hybrid versions later. The what are they, Pro Max or Max Hybrid, whatever they call it. Anyways, what's interesting with this report I did is you can see the biggest issue out of the gate was they had a problem with failing wastegates on the turbochargers. This is a wastegate issue. It was a huge issue for a lot of fans. And I did a video saying it wasn't that big of a deal. I got taken to the woodshed, man. People were mad at me. And now here we are, about a year later, and nobody's talking about wastegates. They basically had a parts failure that came from a supplier. They never caught it in their testing, and all the reliability testing never caught it. All of a sudden, it shows up out of the middle of nowhere. It doesn't affect all the trucks. My 2022 Tundra Limited had no problems with this, but there was a collection of trucks that came out that had a wastegate issue. Those have been fixed. As far as I've talked to with Toyota, they have addressed all those issues. There's no other issues out there in that truck with that. The other issues are wind noise and weather stripping. This has happened. You can see on TRD John, my friend TRD John's YouTube channel. He's had problems with wind noise in his SR5. I have my weather stripping doesn't meet up. I've done videos on that. But is that, again, we're talking about overall reliability and durability. So is weather stripping not meeting around the rear window sill? Is that a reliability issue, durability issue? It's interesting conversations we're having these days. Used to be engines, transmissions, that fails. That's a big issue. Now we're getting a little bit more picky on things. Now we're getting a little more dialed in. So there, you can see this video right here. I won't hit play, but you can see right where, kind of off my wrist, you can see where that stuff's not lining up. Interestingly enough, every press loan I've had has been perfect. There's been some issues in body part and finish. Infotainment system, I made a big deal about that last year. And I'm really glad I did, because Toyota made changes to the infotainment system and it works a lot better. So Toyota, thank you for making those changes. So I'm very much happy about that. And then there's a myriad of small little changes that people have talked about. There's a weird issue with the fuel gauge not reading up, and there's an issue with the, it's not really an issue, it's the way Toyota set it up, where the oil gauge it fluctuates quite a bit. It got people's concerns. So that was the Tundra. So, and you can find pickuptrucktalk.com. If you type in these models, I've done other stories on reliability. It's under here in guides and reliability. There's a ton of different things. I love reporting on this because, well, it's interesting to me, probably interesting to you. But let's get back to the big picture. I'm not going to make this a 45-minute video. Hopefully not. Fingers crossed. Ford F-150 problems. So this one, what's interesting of the Ford F-150, in my opinion, is you look at these issues we've seen over the years, gone down issues, is Ford is continually changing the vehicle. They're continually making changes. They're always, it used to be products had a 7-year life cycle. So it got introduced, about 3.5 years in, you have a mid-cycle refresh. About 7 years in, you have a new model. But they are always making changes. Right now, they're talking about making a new model coming out this year too. There's supposed to be a 2024 all new F-150. But I can tell you, throughout the years, they've always adding more features, adding more technology, adding more stuff. And so that's what I think is causing some of the issues with reliability. Plus, you got to look at this other facts as one more thing, and it's one more important thing. And I talk about this a little bit in other videos, is volume players. So there's volume players in the marketplace, there's non-volume players. The Tundra is not a volume player. And so if you look at statistics, if you build less vehicles, you're going to have less problems. If you're Ford and you build a lot of vehicles, you're going to have a lot more problems. So keep that in mind too. Something that, kind of keep in the back of your head. Nissan Titan. Now this Titan's been out for quite a while. They had a refresh in 2020. I think it's 2020 model year. Really liked what they've done with the truck. It's been a really solid truck, 5.7 liter V8. And yeah, if you look through the problems, not very many problems, 0, 0, 0. But again, I'm going to go back to this volume player situation, right? Nissan sells less vehicles than the Honda Ridgeline sells per year. That's a big statement for most truck guys. And so the volume just isn't there. But they're really reliable. I've done studies in Nissan Titan, Nissan Frontier, really reliable vehicles when you compare them to, say, the Toyota Tundra, Toyota Tacoma. Let's talk GMC Sierra. So GMC Sierra, we have a little bit of issues here, 11, 39, 23, 62, some issues through the years. A lot of people are having problems with the Sierra with the transmission. They've had issues with the 8-speed, the same idea with the Chevy Silverado. The 8-speed transmission, they've gone to a 10-speed. That seems like it's changing things. Yep, worst category is transmission problems. People will tell you there's a lot of issues with lifter issues. If you looked at the internet, you'll see lots of lifter complaints. And it's interesting because we did a story on that as well. And we found that it was a specific number of vehicles. We're finding some other ones here and there. We're still tracking that issue. But yeah, they've had some issues with the lifters and transmissions. and people still have concerns with active fuel management and dynamic fuel management as far as oil consumption issues. So there's those issues there. What's interesting with the GM products is if you go, I guess I can look this up too, but when I looked at the GM products on our Pickup Truck Talk, I did a story a couple years ago, and let's see, Chevy Silverado. Let's see if it pulls up. I did not get this prepared, but yeah, so there's a transmission fix for the 2022 Silverado and Sierra that's been out for a little bit, and we talked about the, let me see, Consumer Reports, Chevrolet. So they've done least reliable full-size trucks. Consumer Reports did a story a couple years ago, and they covered this. The least reliable full-size trucks, they put General Motors on the top. I don't know what is it with Consumer Reports, but they do not like Chevrolet products. Chevrolet GM products, I should say. Okay, let's get back to the other thing. I gave you a little carrot when we first started this video about the Ford F-150 because I thought it was really interesting. So when I come down to the electric truck reliability, which is a new thing, we're going to cover electric trucks reliability. Historically, they should, well, theoretically, they should be more reliable. Historically, we're seeing they're not. It's interesting. They've had a lot of issues with some of the electric trucks, and they should be more reliable because they have less parts and a really simplistic operation. However, things are really interesting. So, Consumer Reports rates the F-150 Lightning better than the Rivian R1T. Okay, don't get a lot from that. We're still waiting for the Hummer details to come out. Hummer trucks. We're still this low volume kind of stuff. But what's interesting is the Ford M50 Lightning is much more reliable than the gas M50, while the F-150 hybrid, the hybrid version, is way less reliable than the gas F-150. I don't know. I didn't put a little link to this, but it's interesting. On consumerreports.com, you will see Ford M50. Excuse me. You'll see Ford F-150 Lightning. You'll see Ford M50. Then you see Ford M50 Power Boost, the hybrid. So it's interesting that they separated out the Power Boost as a separate metric. And I've never seen that before. Usually it's all M50s, Silverado, GMC, that kind of stuff. You don't separate that stuff out. So I looked up some more data on the hybrid, and it's more like infotainment inside the cabin. There's issues. They don't like the brakes as much. I think it's brake issues. And it's more complex powertrain. So if you know, a hybrid has a combination of a gas engine with a battery. And so they're looking at overall reliability. It needs to be less than a gasoline engine because, well, it's more complex too. But I thought that was very fascinating the way they said that and the way they kind of broke that up. But yeah, so that's what I found. That's what I have for you today on Consumer Reports on CarComplaints.com. So again, you can buy any of these trucks and you can have a great truck for 300,000 miles. You can buy any of these trucks to have a lemon in a month. I've seen people who bought the prior generation Toyota Tundra and they've had nothing but issues about it. The lemon law that vehicle. I've seen them buy it and I've done it a couple times. They put 1 million miles on it. So it's a little bit about luck of the draw a little bit, plus also how you take care of your vehicle, maintenance, reliability. And then like I said, I've seen people actually get the trucks have a random problems at the beginning and then they get fixed and overall they really like the vehicle. So again, a little more data points for you guys. I think it's the biggest thing from this video is you have more data. It makes you a better informed consumer, which is the point of this channel. I want to show you guys are informed consumers. You go out there and buy the truck based on all the data you have and make the best decision for your dollar. There you go. So more, check the videos over here. Website is pickuptrucktalk.com. Pickuptrucktalk.com. 3 words. Simple as I could for you guys. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.